Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is African Americans and the election of 2016. And we have with us to talk about the election of 2016 and the impact on African American citizens, Dr. Lewis Baldwin from Vanderbilt University formerly. And of course, Dr. Baldwin, you're retired now and doing great work, going all over the world, talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. And I think we've said time and time again that you are the greatest Martin Luther King scholar in this nation, primarily because of your scholarship in reference to doing it. And that's why we simply call upon you time and time again, because not only are you familiar with Martin Luther King, but also information that is contemporary with Dr. Martin Luther King. And I want to say publicly how we appreciate you and for the information that you're giving, and I know our audience feels the same way. But let's start off this African Americans and the election of 2016. Dr. Baldwin, having you make a few statements in reference to your background, education, and experiences. And then we'll have that second segment and third segment to talk about the impact of the election of 2016 on African Americans, or vice versa. That's right. You see, and so let's do it from that perspective.
Yes, well, I'm a native of Camden, Alabama. I grew up in Wilcox County, Alabama, which is known as part of the Alabama Black Belt. I grew up there in the late 40s and the 50s and early 60s, was exposed to much of what went on in terms of the civil rights movement in the Alabama Black Belt, and that instilled in me, I think, a deep interest in politics. As you well know, the civil rights movement was about not only the advancement of civil rights, but also about political rights, economic improvement in the black community, etc. So I was introduced very early to those kinds of values. Grew up in Camden, Alabama, attended the public schools in Camden, Alabama, graduated from Camden Academy High School in 1967. And in the fall of 1967, I matriculated at Talladega College in Talladega, Alabama, and at that point, 1967 to 71, I not only majored in history and minored in political science, I was also involved in some of the demonstrations at Talladega College. So I graduated at Talladega in 1971 with a degree in history, went to Crozer Theological Seminary in Rochester, New York, was there for 3 years in the Master of Arts program, also received the Master of Divinity degree from Colgate Rochester Crozer Seminary, and from there to Northwestern University. In 1975, I graduated from Northwestern in 1980 with a PhD in the history of religion with a particular emphasis on Christianity. So that was the beginning of my interest in American politics, and particularly the impact of American political values and systems on the African American community.
Very good. And so, Dr. Baldwin, listening to you, I can see the same trail that I took in terms of making it. And I, as a matter of fact, you graduated, you became a professor at Vanderbilt University. And I think that I was one of the first African-American students to attend Vanderbilt University after I finished my degree. And so I knew you quite well, and of course I knew all of the folks that you know from Vanderbilt University, from Kelly Miller Smith, et cetera, et cetera. And so I can say that you've made a tremendous contribution, but you also helped the university and the Divinity School make an even greater contribution in terms of the African American experience. And I simply wanted to say that so that people will know that in a real sense you've made a tremendous contribution. Now you brought with you today a book, Dr. Baldwin, and let's talk about that book.
Yes, that book, of course, is part of my effort to contribute to the continuation of the struggle